Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to live life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Before we get started with today's episode, I have a public service announcement, at least of sorts. You may find if you go to www.expansionmastery.com that you can no longer purchase things. I've shut all of that down as I am completely revamping the website, and I have discontinued both versions of the Appreciation Mastery program as well as the Breath Bridge program. Both of those are now no longer available and will no longer be available in their current form. I hope you did yourselves a favor and purchased those powerful programs while they were available. So, soon the website will be down. It may be down by the time this is released, and I will be working on bringing up a new website, and this new format should be far easier to use. We're looking at adding additional payment options for you, just so it's even easier than ever, and I will be releasing all new different programs, ebooks, audio programs, and video programs, all of which will be digital. The only actual physical item for sale on this website will be, of course, the signed copies of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. So please bear with us as we bring this old website down and bring an exciting new one back up. Soon, www.expansionmastery.com will be back online and better than ever, and I hope that the things I'm able to offer on there will serve you even greater than the other programs that I've offered in the past. For updates regarding the website, you can listen in to The Fully Engaged Life, or you can go to my Facebook author page at Robert D. Bessler. Both of those areas will have updates as far as what we're doing on the website, what we're going to be offering, any special items or sales that we have. All of that stuff will be available through those two formats of my Facebook author page and the program here of The Fully Engaged Life. And I'm extremely busy creating some new content and bringing up this new website, so please forgive me if the release of future episodes of The Fully Engaged Life are a little bit erratic for the next couple months. I'm going to do my best to keep putting this out, but I've got a ton of energy focused in on the new website and a new book that we're finishing up. Lots of great and exciting things in the works as we here at Expansion Mastery continue to expand. All right, so since the beginning of the year, I have released 3 practices for you. I would like to ask how you're doing on those. You've had some time to work on them, and we should continue to work on them. These are things you should factor in to do daily. And as we looked at the first one, not talking about our problems, but instead talking about those things that we enjoy, that was meant to be a New Year's resolution. So the resolution is to try your very best to do it every single day. Try to catch yourself as much as you can, and at least make sure that you're consciously doing that at least once a day. That at least once a day you find yourself going to complain about something or talk about a problem, and instead you stop yourself and talk about something that you enjoy. So that was the first practice. Second practice was the daily spiritual confession, right? That is a really cool practice. It is a wonderful way to help you start to keep your ego in check. It helps you recognize when you act out of ego, and you get to learn how to harness it a little bit, rope it in, and get it under control, while also correcting these less than preferred behaviors that we may have. And we learn then to replace them with better ones through the practice. And then the application of this sort of practice in daily life. Right? So you remember that practice. If not, go back and go through that. So that one should be going on daily. It's just a sense of daily self-reflection, right? I'm just going to have a little introspection as to my behavior. I might recall a certain thing that happened at one point in the day that's kind of bothering me, right? How the ego plays this over and over and over again when it's been threatened. And it's difficult to let go. Well, whenever anything like that happens, or after a while, it may be a small thing, but after these sorts of things happen, what you want to do is be able to take a time that evening and just reflect on things that went on during the day, and find between 1, 3, 5, depending on your life and how much you want to actually engage this practice, but at least one thing that is bothering you, that you wish would have went differently, that you could have handled differently, but you didn't. And go through that practice. So then, and the whole idea is that eventually you will be able to handle it in the way that you feel in your heart would be the right way. And the third practice was the foundational meditative practice using the breath. And I say it's foundational because this is literally an authentic foundational practice that allows us to start to access our central nervous system, change from chest breathing to abdominal breathing, and learn how to use the breath as a way to link the unconscious mind with a conscious mind. And this is what we're trying to establish here, is this ability. This is huge in any form of spiritual practice. The idea is we have to learn how to engage consciously, use a conscious mind, the aware mind, not our true conscious awareness, right? We're talking about the mind here because it's a meditative practice. So I use the conscious mind to observe and realize something that's going on, and that it runs from an unconscious mental process, and that can also be an unconscious physical process, right, such as breathing. And then we take that from the unconscious and we bring it into the conscious mind, and then we can work with it. We can change it, and then the idea, after we engage it enough, is we let it go back to being unconscious. It's kind of like we take a fuse and we put this fuse in the fuse box. Okay? That would be the conscious mind, right? So we put the fuse in the fuse box. And over time, that fuse is there and it's working away for us, but we don't pay any attention to it. It's just doing its job. It's just allowing us to have power to a particular circuit. So that's the unconscious. And then it blows. And when it blows, it becomes a conscious thing to us, right? We don't think about that fuse after we put it in. We don't think about it anymore until the time that it blows on us and we have to replace it. Then it becomes conscious again. See, we are doing this with so many things. And the idea is to make sure that we can make all of these changes that we acquire through spiritual practice, that we can make them natural. What do we mean by natural? It refers to the fact that we can engage these things without having to consciously think about them anymore, without making such a degree of effort. We may not even need to practice them anymore. It's just part of who we are and how we are now. That's what we mean by natural. It's kind of like when you drive to the store. You've driven to the store, right? Your local grocery store. You drive there every week or every 2 weeks, whatever. You're driving there all the time. You don't have to think about each road and where you're going and where you should turn. And you don't have to think about where you should put on the brakes and accelerate. You already have an idea of the speed limits and traffic laws and all that, right? See, all of that is it's just a natural to you. You don't have to stand there and contemplate and practice opening your car door and getting in. Usually your mind's on something totally different, right? It's somewhere else as you're doing these acts, and those acts become unconscious. And they can do that because they're so natural. And they become natural after a lot of repetition, right? Repetition is one of the things that helps us get these things to a degree where it is natural and we don't need to focus and think about it anymore. And of course, the breath and all breath work is the core of any spiritual practice or any spiritual systems. Very important. That's why this is a foundational practice. So you have these three things. The first thing allows us to work with our mind. The second thing allows us to reflect on our behaviors and also interact with a part of the mind that, of course, we know is the ego. And then the third is a meditative practice where we start to engage not only the mind, but also the body. We're using the breath, which is a body function. We're using physical sensations, which is another aspect of the body. So we're using the mind and the body in here, and we're trying to bring them into a sense of harmony. So all three of these that I have given you should be done daily. How many of you out there can say that since I've released the first one in the beginning of January and you've been working on these, that you've been able to do them every single day? How many of you can honestly say that you have not missed a day? You see, spiritual practices are not meant to be difficult. The difficult part is not in the practice itself. The difficult part is being disciplined enough to do them every single day, to do them with the consistency that they absolutely demand, as well as the length of time that they deserve. So we need to be able to do them daily, and we need to do them for the amount of time necessary for the changes to actually take root. And as we do this, we'll go through specific mindfulness practices as well. I've given you many practices to begin working on in the past years here. And you see, you need all of this. We need this elevated sense of consciousness. We need this harmony of our mind, our body, our spirit. We need this higher level vibrational frequency in order to live a fully engaged life. You see, that's what is always referred to in spiritual scripture as living fully engaged. It isn't that, you have more money or you can do more things or whatever. It's that you have this capability to have a different sense of perception for life. We're able to see through all of the illusion and the delusion. We can see the truth, and we seek out ultimate truth. Then you're living a fully engaged life. When you can live that truth, it's a fully engaged life. And here are four major aspects of living a fully engaged life in case you're new to the show and Expansion Mastery, or just in case you've forgotten. When we're living a fully engaged life, it's a life of adventure. Okay? You're living an adventure when you're outside of your comfort zone. When you're in your comfort zone, that's no adventure. All right? That's a prison. So when you're living a fully engaged life, your life is filled with adventure. Maybe it's a day adventure, a hike up a mountain, or kayaking through the bay, or rappelling into a cavern or something, right? Some kind of exciting life adventure that has you up off your butt and out in the world doing something incredible. So getting out of that comfort zone, embracing a discomfort zone, right? Which is rather large, but we want to embrace the discomfort because that's where the adventure lies. Another aspect which is often overlooked and today being demonized in many areas is romance. Yeah, that's right, romance. You should have a romantic relationship, a healthy romantic relationship. If you do not have one, is it still possible to live a fully engaged life? Of course it is, and it's from that platform that you are most likely to attract your actual soulmate, your one and only true love, that one special person, because when you're living in a fully engaged life with that sense of authenticity, you can't help but attract another person who is living that same way. It's incredible. So yes, it's filled with romance. It's filled with love. And that is a phenomenal part of living a fully engaged life, is you have your other half, truly, from a soul perspective, your other half to share your incredible adventures with. From that, we also have passion. And by passion, I mean that in every aspect of the word. A passion for life, a passion for hobbies, a passion for love, a passion for where you live, what you do, everything. You are passionate about everything in life. You are passionate and filled with appreciation. This is another characteristic. And the fourth is personal growth. And the thing is when we are not in a relationship, we have personal growth. When we are in a relationship, we continue to grow, but you do it together. If you're in a healthy romantic relationship, you will be doing it together. In this way, you can learn and grow together instead of apart. Right? So these are just 4 characteristics of living a fully engaged life. You're mindful. You're consciously aware. You're tuned in to what's going on. You're tuned in to yourself. You're plugged in to life on a whole different level. This is what's meant by living a fully engaged life. Remember that there's never been a more important time to engage in spiritual practices, in meditative practices, in meditation than now. I, in my opinion, find it to be essential, absolutely essential, to not fall victim to the mass delusion that is sweeping the United States and as well the world. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to give you a 4th practice. All right, are you ready for practice number 4? Here we go. This one is another easy one, but again, a foundational exercise. This one's going to get a little physical. So if you have something going on, a physical limitation or some medical condition, make sure that you consult your physician before you engage this practice. Okay? But it's relatively easy and relatively safe and simple, especially if you can stand up. Okay? For those of you that can't stand up, don't try this yet. So from a standing position, you're just going to stand in a normal position. You want to try and have your alignment straight so your back is straight and that sort of thing. I'm going to give you something about your alignment now. And we're going to split this into an exercise of connecting to heaven and earth. Okay? So this is a heaven and earth practice. And what you're going to do is just from a physical level right now, purely physical, working with physical alignments and physical sensations. So, don't get caught up in mystical mumbo jumbo and, all of this stuff. All right, so stand there. You're going to make sure your back is straight. You want your body to be relaxed, so the muscle kind of feels like it's hanging off the bone a little bit, and your skeletal structure is holding you up. Now, what you're going to do is we're going to make sure that our spine is perfectly straight, and we're going to raise our head up as though there was a string attached to the crown of our head and like a puppet string, and somebody's pulling that up ever so gently. Don't do it quickly. It's not about snapping your neck, right? So nice and slowly, you just raise that up. Now as you raise it, you're going to take your chin and you're going to tuck it down and back a little bit. What you'll find this is doing is making your neck straight. So it's going to align your neck with your spine. So if you can do this in front of a mirror from a side view, you'll be able to tell if you're doing it right. One of the most common mistakes people make is they tip their chin down towards their chest so their whole head comes forward. That's not what you want to have happen. You want your neck to align quite straight with the rest of your spine. Okay? And you want to hold this feeling. It's like all of a sudden your head gets lighter, right? The head is a very, very heavy appendage, and it's got a lot of weight on the body. So we want to lift that up, and we just want to have that sense of raising that up. Now, if you have any neck issues or any medical issues like this, don't do that. Any neck back, don't do this exercise without clearing it with your doctor. Okay, so that's the heaven part. We're going to raise our body up. Now, with that raised up, what you're going to do is very slowly and gently, you're going to tuck your sacrum just slightly. So you're going to just tuck that down a little bit, and it's going to cause your knees to bend. All you want to do is have your knees bend enough. So you tuck your tailbone enough to cause the knees to bend, and then the knees bending will shift your weight forward onto the balls of your feet. Right? So you'll feel a lot of pressure in the balls of the feet. Anybody that knows acupoints, this will be the kidney 1 point, right? Everybody is relatively familiar with that. So this is what you want. So lifting up connects us to heaven. Dropping our tailbone down connects us to the earth. Okay? And what you're doing in the meantime is you're elongating your spine. So all those times where we're walking on concrete and stone and all these things, all the exercises we do where we're jumping and stuff is putting compression on the spine. So what we're doing is just very slowly and gently stretching that spine and putting a little bit of space in between the vertebra. Now, for those of you who are more advanced, you can do this at the same time. You can go up and down at the exact same time, which is preferred. But for those of you that are new to it, take one section at a time and work with it and make sure you get it. Okay? As you do this, you're going to maintain your breathing from the abdomen. Okay, we don't want to chest breathe with this. We want to breathe through the abdomen. So a lot of things to be aware of with the body, right? So we're developing a greater sense of coordination here, and we're developing good posture as well as promoting a healthy spine. So the heaven part is this. We raise our head, tuck the chin slightly, so we engage that. We make our head feel a lot lighter. When you got that head feeling lighter and things, your whole body might feel a little lighter, a little more loose, a little more free. That's wonderful. That's great. And then if we tuck that sacrum, this is when we're connecting to the earth. So you'll feel your knees bend just slightly. The knee shouldn't go past like the center of the foot. Okay, we're not trying to go real deep with this. This isn't a knee bend or anything. We want to hold good posture and keep that straight spine. So you're just going to shift a little bit forward onto the balls of the feet, which causes a rooting effect. So pay attention to the physical sensations in your body here. You might feel that your feet start to get a little warm. Fantastic. You might feel that you just feel very solid and connected. Wonderful. Okay? So sometimes you get that when you lift your head and tuck the chin and you're starting to get this heaven thing and breathing from the abdomen. You might even feel your hands get nice and warm. Sure, you're improving a lot of circulation of blood and energy from just this simple movement. Okay? This is a very, very simple movement, but again, go very slowly, very carefully, and do not engage it unless you have cleared yourself with your physician. Then, once you've attained that position, just stand there, hold it, and breathe. Breathe in and out through the nose, or you can breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. But you want to breathe naturally and freely. Don't hold your breath. And then if you get very comfortable with that, you can start to walk around very slowly and carefully while trying to hold that posture. Most people have a terrible posture and they breathe very poorly. So what we're working on here is making corrections in that while connecting to the forces of heaven and earth and keeping ourselves raised up and keeping gravity from compressing us so much, and at the same time staying rooted to the ground so we don't get too spacey either. This is a wonderful balancing exercise. And by balancing, I mean balancing the forces within your body. And it's very easy. When you get done, it should feel really good. You shouldn't be sore. If you are, stop. Contact your physician. You shouldn't be sore. You should have no problems. Your body should start to feel a little lighter, your movement a little easier, and a little freer. It's a lot easier to enjoy life when we're up and moving, when our body feels light and free and healthy and we can move easily, right? Think about that. It's a lot easier to live fully engaged. Even if we take a look at just a few of the characteristics of what kind of life that is, it's easier to be passionate and romantic when you feel good physically, right? It's easier to engage in different practices that will encourage your own personal growth when your body feels better, lighter, freer. We can live a greater adventure when we're in physical health, when we can move easily and freely. So this is up to you. You can do this as a daily practice. You can factor this in with the other three if you'd like, or you can do it whenever you feel like it. You can do it several times a day, once a day. You can do it, however long you want. You can do this just a couple times a week if you want. But the idea is just to get comfortable with this. Decompress that spine and really start to connect to these natural forces of heaven and earth. And remember, this is one of the things at the very core of expansion mastery is the total integration, unification, and harmony of heaven, earth, and humanity or being. This practice is just one very simple, easy way that we can begin interacting on that kind of level. So when you practice this, pay attention to the physical sensations, especially in your hands and feet. Notice if those things start to feel warm over time as you do it. Maybe it happens right away. Everybody's different. But most people have a tendency to have that happen only after they practice this for a little while. But notice those things. Those are good signs, right? It's a good sign that you're increasing the circulation of blood and energy in your body, and that the result of that is how can you not be a little healthier, right? And at the same time, it's allowing us to remain grounded while we rise up, and that's very helpful. Even when we start to raise our vibrational frequency, we still need to remain grounded. That's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they try to do spiritual practices without anyone to guide them, is they forget to ground themselves. They forget to root themselves. So they get very spacey and very kind of silly and goofy, and then they start to go into, this new age fluff stuff that has nothing to do with real spirituality. This is what happens. So what we're doing is creating a balance of raising our frequency, raising ourselves to interact with the heavenly energies, and at the same time rooting ourselves so we can keep our feet on the ground and do so as we become a little bit more grounded. And just as a little side note with this practice, if you find yourself feeling a little spacey for some reason, maybe you don't even know why, but you're just having a hard time focusing, then do the earth practice and ground yourself. Okay, just do the earth one. Don't raise the spine up so high, but really get that feeling of tucking the sacrum and connecting to the ground. This will help with that. Okay, it'll help ground you and help you get past that. By the same token, if you find yourself feeling drug out and heavy, you're heavy-footed, that sort of thing, then you want to focus on raising up towards the heaven with your head. So that'll take care of that. See, I observe this all the time, and people tend to be in one mode or the other. It's just very rare that you see people that have that sort of balance, but that's what we're striving for. That's when we're healthier. Our mind is clearer, our body is healthier and freer. It feels nice. So there's a fourth practice this year. Give it a shot. Make sure that you go easy on yourself, and again, contact a medical professional before engaging in anything physical like this to make sure that you can do it okay. All right, well, there is no plug for you to go to www.expansionmastery.com because it's going to be down until we get the new site up. However, I would still ask you to partner with me, help me out, share these podcasts, share the information, share and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Facebook stuff, get all of that stuff out there. Make sure that you've read the book. Make sure you've engaged the practices. And when you're done with it, give it to somebody else so they can do it. Spread it around. Give it to local libraries so people are exposed to it. This book is a part of a number of very important libraries, and it's there for a reason. So please help me spread the word. Let's keep this authentic spirituality alive. And for those of you who are in a relationship, a very happy Valentine's Day to you. This should air a few days before Valentine's Day. So I wish you a very romantic day filled with love and passion. And for those of you who are still working on yourself and working on attracting that perfect person to you, that's fine. Don't feel bad. Hey, it's in the works. Love yourself, and you will attract that love back to you in the form of someone who also loves you, and you are able to love more than any other person in the world. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices and your life. Take care.